fellow residents of Tamriel. It is the Beeve once again, and we have another video here, a very simple stamina nightblade build that I put together. The nightblades, when built correctly, have an amazing ability to have high crit ratings. This one right here, I have. This is just a critical beast right here. He is unreal with the amount of critical he can do. So, real quick, uh, let's go over some inventory. I am using the Advancing Yakita set. This is found in the Hellraw Citadel trial. It's probably the easiest trial on normal and vet to complete, so it is very easy to get your hands on. If you don't have Advancing Yakita, uh, if you put Aegis Collar on here, it does very nice damage as well. But for the really high crit rating, we are going with the Advancing Yakita. Now, I also have a needs to be charged Maelstrom Bow. This is not perfected, as you see. Like I said before, I'm not going to be using perfected things in my videos. These are supposed to be things that are somewhat easy to get. Now, with this build, you do need the Maelstrom Bow because uh, I think actually it has been completely removed from the game. The Berserking Warrior Bow I don't think exists anymore. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like that's the rumor behind it. I don't know if it's very true. I'd have to look it up, but I have it on good authority that the Advancing Yakita bow doesn't exist in this game no anymore. And so the Maelstrom bow is pretty vital to this setup. Or if you have, the Master's bow, that would work as well. Just some sort of ability altering bow. The Maelstrom Arena on normal is pretty simple to complete. I'm gonna make a little video on that for just to show people what they can make real quick, and be able to get through it pretty easily. I'll make that video so you can see, and if it's not something that you've completed yet, I can show you how to do it pretty easy. To be honest with you. This is an infused bow with a weapon damage glyph. Our Endless Hail will keep that weapon damage glyph continuously proccing, so as long as we make it back to reapply our Endless Hail before it falls off, we will have a 100% uptime on this 452 weapon damage. I have both the. I'm using two daggers mainly for the crit rating. I wanted to get this crit rating as high as possible. You could put an axe here and drop your crit rating a little bit and get some bleed damage out of the axe as well. Nirnhoon it if you want, whatever. But for this particular build, I am using two daggers for the crit rating in the passive for the dual wield. And both of them have a precise trait to them, so that's another 7.2 crit chance that we're getting right there. I am using the Storm Fist. This rotation I'm going to be using is a lot of spamming of the surprise attack. So I do like having this extra stamina recovery here. If you get this figured out to where you don't really need the recovery, you can always change this out for Celine's, because we do a lot of direct damage, or you can change it out for Veladrith, whatever you like. This is just what I'm suggesting for better sustain at the moment. We are using Reliquins. Reliquins is a medium armor set that is found in Cloud Rest. If you're not familiar with it, it is 833 weapon crit, Miner Slayer 833 weapon crit, and for every light and heavy attack, you stack harmful winds on your target. It stacks up to 10 times, and each stack deals 4,000 or 479 damage. So when that gets when that gets a full stacks, that's you know 4,790 damage per tick on those stacks. So it just does a lot of damage just for doing light and heavy attacks. This build does depend on you light attack weaving to keep these stacks up, and the advancing Yakita works off of uh, melee damage. So you want to be able to do those light attacks, stack that as well. Real quick, I forgot to go over this. The Advancing Yakita is a heavy armor set, actually, that is found in Hellraw Citadel. I forgot to mention that. So you want weapons and jewelry of this. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But uh, you definitely want some. You definitely want some weapons and jewelry of this set right here. 833 weapon crit, 129 weapon damage, 833 weapon crit. When you deal melee damage, your weapon critical is increased by 305 for 5 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. This effect can occur once every half second. This rotation that I picked out here allows you to, even though this is only active on your dagger bar, you're not on the bow bar very long. You have 5 seconds to bar swap, reapply your end of sail, put your trap down, and then bar swap back and keep those stacks up. So you have that extra 10 stacks. You're getting 3,050 weapon critical, which is a lot of weapon critical. Everything I have is in divines, and I am using the Shadow Mundus Stone for 17% more critical damage done because this is just a completely huge crit build. My jewelry is all in Bloodthirsty with weapon damage. Uh, Traits on these jewelries sometimes really don't matter. If you're not into running trials where you're running across bosses that have a lot of health that have very long execute phases, then the Bloodthirsty isn't always the best option. Even after changing it, like it does the after as they hit 90% health and start going down, you start getting more and more weapon and spell damage from it. So it's I don't know, it's kind of cool how they changed it, but in my opinion, I think like if you're not doing trials and things like that, and you want to go with Fused, or if you wanted to go with the robust trait, like you can, it's not going to make a huge noticeable difference either way. Each of them have their perks for the most part, but this I do have in Bloodthirsty, and all three pieces Bloodthirsty, all three pieces with a weapon damage glyph on them. Champion points. Green tree's pretty flexible how you want to do it. I do suggest tenacity at 75 and Mooncalf at 75. Every now and again, I may throw a heavy attack in there because I'm using that surprise attack a lot. So it's like 2,065 stamina to use that surprise attack. And when you're using it, it is like we're gonna spam it like you know 6 7 times in a rotation, maybe even more. And so this rotation can be a little bit expensive, so I suggest having this in here in case you go low. You can heavy attack a couple of times and get your stuff back pretty quickly. Um, I prefer to roll dodge, and so I have more points in my tumbling. If you like to block, put more into Shadow Ward. I just make sure I have 75 points in this tree for this Treasure Hunter passive, so I get better quality items out of chests. Uh, 40 in Warlord is for the break free, to reduce the cost of break free. In our red tree, this is pretty subjective as well. 72 Ironclad, 34 Spell Shield, 34 Medium Armor, 43 Hardy, 43 Elemental Defender, 44 Thick Skinned. You can kind of put these in here as you like. Some people like to have quick recovery and whatnot. It's completely up to you. I like to mitigate as much damage as possible, so I will throw things in for resistance. I will throw in a lot here because you face a lot of direct damage in every dungeon and trial that you are that you are in, and then just being able to mitigate different type of damages as well is a good thing. Now, our blue tree, these are the ones that are for the damage I'm getting. These are the points that I'm using. I have physical weapons expert at 16%, and that gives me 10% more damage with my light and heavy attacks. 72 master at arms for 23% more direct damage, and this build with that spamming the surprise attack, it is just a direct damage ability, so this buffs that pretty nicely. Having these 88 points in here does give you this butcher passive right here, which Increases your damage done with light and heavy attacks by 5% for enemies that are in execute mode, so it's even more damage on your light and heavy attacks during execute phase. 40 points in Thaumaturge for 16% more damage over time. 66 points in Precise Strikes for 22% more critical damage done, and we are using a lot of crits. We're critting a ton, so this is very important. I have 20 in Piercing, and I have 56 in Mighty for 12% more physical poison and disease damage. The 20 points in Piercing gives me another 1900. You do have the Exploiter passive here filled in at this point. You increase your damage against enemies that are off balance by 10%. So if you're running with a sword or any type of mage tune that is using lightning staff and setting the boss off balance, you are going to do 10% more damage during that off balance phase. A lot of healers now tend to run, or healers and even tanks will tend to run lightning staffs just to be able to get that off balance proc to give their DPS more damage. Nothing over in this tree. This all deals with a lot of with magicka. So nothing over here. Alright, so now we go into our skills. Go through the skills and I'll explain why they're there here in a second. So I got Endless Hail. I got Barbed Trap. I got these Leeching Strikes. This Leeching Strike is very nice while it's active. Your light and heavy attacks heal you for 1495 health and restore 100. While it's active, you also restore 106 stamina for 20 seconds. Fully charged heavy attacks restore twice the value. So you're getting back 106 stamina every second for, with every light and heavy attack. Well, every light attack, and you're going to get back 212 with heavy attacks for 20 seconds. So that kind of helps with sustain, but not a ton. But when it does expire, it restores 4270 in additional stamina. So that's nice. You want to make sure you let this expire before reapplying it. I think you can reapply it before it expires. You just don't get that big of a bonus. So I try to let it expire. I'll call it out every other rotation, give it a chance to expire, and give me back that 4200 stamina. Now, I have this Relentless Focus over here. This is a nice bow ability. I actually have this on both bars, and mainly I have this on both bars. Actually, you don't need this on both bars. I was thinking. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. When you activate this, it activates for a minute, and it increases your critical damage and healing by 2%. With every light and heavy attack up to 5 times. So as this stacks up, you do more critical damage. And when it goes all the way to 5 stacks, it turns into a spectral bow, and or assassin's scourge. Actually, the spectral bow is the magicka version of it, but it turns into assassin's scourge, which lets you fire a spectral arrow for half the cost, and it deals a boatload of damage and heals you in the same sense. So it's big damage and it heals as well. So we're not gonna use that on this bar. It's just here, just because it's here. These two slots you can kind of do whatever you want with them. And I got Flawless Dawnbreaker on here, but you can put something different here if you like. Well, they're just these are just space fillers. I'm not really using. Trying to make this as simple as possible. So these are just here basically for the crit rating on this bar. Now, the our main bar here, our dual wield bar, we got our Relentless Force right here again. I keep this on this bar. When it lights up and it's ready to fire off, I fire it off on this bar. This is the bar that's going to have the highest critical rating and the highest weapon damage rating as well. So we're firing off that spectral arrow when it's ready on this bar to get the most amount of damage out of it. Here's our surprise attack. This is a nice ability. Deals 8,500 physical damage. If you're flanking, you shed through a small portion of the armor, reducing their physical resistance by 5% for 10 seconds. So Attacking with surprise attack from a flank stuns an enemy for 3 seconds and sets them off balance. Um, so that's a good way to get yourself, when you're flanking. Like I'm not flanking on the test dummies when I do it. I don't even know if it'll proc on the test dummies, to be honest with you. But when you are flanking the boss, when a tank's holding it, you can help set it off balance without having a uh, lightning staff in the group, and help reduce resistances on it as well. So this is our spam. This is where we're going to be hitting a lot. The Killer's Blade. This is our execute. 4256 disease damage and deals 300% more damage to enemies under 25% health. And it heals you if the enemy dies within 2 seconds of using it. This hits huge, huge. We're not using this till execute phase. Once we get to execute phase, we're going to stop surprise attacking and we're going to start killer blading. Piercing Mark is literally here just for the assassination passive. And Ambush, once again, is just here for the assassination passive. Not activating either of these two. I'll explain that in a second. Incapacitating Strikes. This is a huge damage dealing ultimate, 13,000 disease damage, and then allows you to do 20% more damage for 6 seconds. If you cast it with 120 ultimate instead of the 70 that it normally costs, you stun the enemy for 3 seconds. That's more of a PvP bonus right there, to be honest with you. But you want to you want to be able to hit this as quick as possible, because as soon as it pops up, because that that damage is you get good damage from the ability and 20% more damage for 6 seconds, and it's only 70 ultimate. Nightblades have a passive that when they hit their potion, they get 20 ultimate back. So you can get these back pretty quick as well. Now, just to go into our assassination passives here, um, increase your physical and spell penetration against enemies you are flanking by 2974. So if you're flanking, even more penetration that uh, on that target as well, and increase the duration of the stun from sneak by 100%. Executioner. When an enemy dies within 2 seconds of being damaged by you, you restore 1,000 magicka and stamina. So resources and trash mobs. So that's always nice. Here's the one that I was talking about. This is why I have abilities on my bar that I am not using. Increase your weapon and spell critical rating by 438 for each assassination ability slotted. So currently on this main bar where I'm doing all my damage with the surprise attack and the bow and the killer's blade, on this bar I have an extra 2191 critical rating, which is pretty huge, to be honest with you. That's a lot of crit rating right there. That's like 10% more crit rating. And your hemorrhage, you increases your critical damage done by 10, and dealing critical damage with your will grant your group minor savagery, increasing your weapon critical rating by 1,300 for the group for 20 seconds. So as a Nightblade, you're helping boost everyone else's critical rating also. So that's always a really cool thing. All right, so we go down into the shadow here. This is the one ability here that the surprise attack. This is what we're spamming. This is our big damage dealer. And the nice thing about this is uh, right here. When casting a shadow ability, it grants you major resolve for 6 seconds, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5948. The duration's increased by 25% for each piece of heavy armor equipped. So the the bonus is 25%, and we get it for 7.5 seconds. So if you, well, we'll go over that here in a second. I don't think I really need to go over anything else here. How have all our passives filled in for our potions to last 100% the medicinal use? All of our orc passives, because we are an orc, because I prefer orc myself for stam characters. I think they're just better built for stamina, dealing stamina damage. We have our passives in our Undaunted filled in, passives in our Fighters Guild filled in, all of our bow passives, all of our dual wield passives. Notice we're not using any dual wield abilities, even though we are dual wielding. We just have really good abilities that Nightblades have built into their class, so that's awesome. Now to go over our character sheet right here, let's go to our bow bar first. On our bow bar, um, you'll notice that health is only 16,433. This is an expensive rotation, like I talked about. So instead of using the braised rabbit right now, I am actually using the dubious Camoran throne for the recovery. That's why we have that recovery of 1427. Um, After using this for a little while and having the correct group mechanics and whatnot, there's a good possibility you could use that the braised rabbit with spring vegetables and get the max stamina and the max health from it, and not have to worry too much about the recovery. But for the sake of me still learning this and getting it down, I am using the dubious Camoran throne, just because I like having that extra recovery right now. 16,433 in health. If you don't like that, if you wanted a little bit higher, there's one easy thing to do. Like I'm wearing a heavy helm, and I put a stamina glyph on the heavy helm. If you would keep that health glyph on that helm instead on a heavy helm instead of changing it to a stamina glyph, you'll lose about 800 stamina in the process, but you will gain like almost 1,000 health. If you're running with a warden healer, you're going to get minor toughness and be in the 18k area, and that's not going to be a big deal. If you're running with a tank that's wearing Ebon, you're going to be uh, real close to 18k. So if you're running with a warden and a tank wearing Ebon, you're going to be at 20k and don't have to worry about your health at all. So just however you like it. uh, Weapon damage is at 2715. Weapon critical is at 40%. Now when I bar swap, nothing changes max stat wise, but you'll notice the weapon damage went to 2944 and our weapon critical went to 62.8. When I hit a potion, weapon critical is now at 74.8. Now, if I stack that, if I get as soon as I get these 10 stacks up on the Berserking Warrior, Advancing Yakita, whatever you want to call it, look at that, 94.8%, 95% crit rate right there. Crazy, crazy amounts of crit rating right there. Unbelievable, to be honest with you. Absolutely unbelievable. Um, it is, it's so much crit. It's unbelievable, honestly. So when I was talking earlier about the you know this being a crit build, it's truly a crit build. It's 95% crit rate. So you are constantly doing critical damage. Now also, I want you to pay attention. See our spell and physical resistances. They're at 14,904 and 14,541. When I use this killer's blade, which I'm spamming, look at that. Both resistances go to 20,000. Now you get that for what 7.5 seconds or something. We're spamming that so much that you're going to have a really good uptime on that. The only time it's ever going to go away is if you mess up your rotation and you don't get back to it quick enough. But in execute phase, when you switch to your killer's blade, the killer's blade does not apply that resistance buff. So that's that's the only downfall to that. But when they're not in execute phase, you have a good amount of resistances working in your favor, and pretty pretty nice. Help keep you Helps keep you from getting your head caved in, so to speak. This rotation is very simple. Video's going a little longer than I wanted it to. Sorry, guys. Rotation, very simple. Light attack, endless hail. Light attack, barb trap. Leeching strikes every other rotation, and we're gonna bar swap. We're gonna make sure that we activate our uh, relentless focus, and this stays up, like I said, for a minute. And so you do have to reactivate this every now and again. It will fall off, and you'll have to reactivate it. But when you activate it, you can see well, the spectral bow part of it's ready right there. So look, that spectral bow just shot off, did 22k, and then it went back. And then as I stack light attacks, it'll come back, and then bam, there it is. See how that is? So we want to make sure that we're doing our light attacks, stacking them up, and then activating that bow when it's ready, because it does just really good damage. Bam. Okay, so that's the important stuff at least there. So finish that off. Light attack, endless hail, light attack, barb trap, light attack, leeching strikes every other rotation. Activate your relentless focus. Hit it when necessary. When it procs to use the spectral bow, spectral arrow. And other than that, we're just surprise attacking. Surprise attack, surprise attack, surprise attack, surprise attack. Light attack, surprise attack, light attack, surprise attack, light attack, surprise attack. And then when the spectral bow is ready, we hit it. And we'll do that. We got 14 seconds from the time that we drop this endless hail till we have to drop it again. So just keep it in mind that you have to reapply it every 14 seconds. So we're probably gonna do 6 or 7, maybe 8 surprise attacks with 1 or 2 bows in between, and then we're gonna bar swap back and go back to our bow and reapply everything. I'm gonna go ahead and do some damage on this trial dummy for you, and you can see exactly how this works. All right, so there we go. 78,000. You'll see up here I hit really close to 80 with it. I've hit a little bit lower with it as well. This one was not. Don't pay attention to that one. But just going through and trying to figure things out. It started off low, and I got the rotation down a little bit better. Figured out what I needed to do with it, and 78 to 79 seems to be what I get with it. It's very easy, very simple build. Obviously, it's going to work with other gear sets as well, but the critical rating on this one is absolutely unbelievable. You are critting all the time, 95% of the time. Um, you are always going to see orange numbers on the screen because you're doing critical damage. And with the bonuses that the Nightblade gets and the Shadow Mundus Stone and the 22% we have in our uh, champion tree for the extra critical damage done, we sit right around about 125 to 130% on our crit rating. That's why if you paid attention, like when I was hitting the incapacitate ultimate and then hitting that killer's blade, it was racking up 95, 100k almost every time for that during that 6 seconds that you get that bonus damage from. And when it wasn't that high, you were still getting 80 to 90k. So I mean that killer's blade does a ton of damage there towards the end and really helps beef up those that amount of damage done. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for sticking it out. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I appreciate you all watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I will be posting this in Discord for you guys to check out, and hopefully these builds that I'm putting together for yins will help some of you newer players or people that haven't conquered combat yet. The ability to uh, figure out combat, start doing better damage, and start pushing you towards being able to do harder content and end game stuff. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it greatly. Happy adventuring.